Chapter 8. This is a different factoring method that we have used in the past but are not highlighting this year. So if you would like some information about the snowflake or asterisk method, you can watch this video and see if this method works better for you. So in the snowflake method or asterisk method, you basically draw what you see here, these lines. So you draw an X, okay, and then you kind of cut that in half, okay? So again, you draw an X and then you cut it in half. That's your snowflake, okay? Or asterisk. Okay, so now you find A, B, and C, okay? And remember, this all comes from standard form for a quadratic, which is ax squared plus bx plus c. So you're looking for this A, B, and C, and you pull them out. Now remember, this strategy, the snowflake method, can be used for all quadratic trinomials once you take out the GCF, but specifically it's for when our A value is greater than 1. Because otherwise we can simply use multiply and add up or product sum. So once you find A, B, and C, you write your A, the product of A times C up here, and the B, okay, goes on the bottom. And then you find two numbers that multiply to A times C and then add up to B, and you put those numbers right here. And then what goes on the top of the lines are the A values, okay? Then what you do is you look at this piece right here and this piece right here as a fraction. You reduce it, okay, if you can. And if not, those are what go in your parentheses. Your reduced fraction, so your numbers end up here after you reduce, and your A value after you reduce ends up here with the appropriate pluses or minuses. So let's take an example and do this. So 2x squared minus 1x minus 3. So this is your A value, okay? This is your B value, and this is your C value. And so we are going to put A times C in that top. So our A is 2 times our C value, which is negative 3. So what's going to go up there is negative 6. Okay, our B value is simply negative 1. So now I'm looking for the two numbers, again, that multiply to negative 6, that add to negative 1. So I start listing those factor pairs again. Well, 3 times 2 is 6, but one of those would have to be negative. And now stop and check. Do any of those add up to negative 1? And yes, this first pair does. Otherwise, you would try 1 times 6. Again, one of those having to be negative. And you find the right combination, and then those are the numbers you put in for the question marks. And it won't matter if I put the negative 3 on the left or on the right, but I just had to make sure I get the signs correctly. Now I go back and put that A value in here. So the A value is 2. So now again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this as a fraction. Can we reduce that fraction? Yes. 1. This would become 1 over 1. And can you reduce this fraction? No. So that stays the same. So my two fractions now are 1 over 1 and 2 over negative 3. So now what happens is I draw my parentheses, and this 2 goes here with whatever variable you have. And the 3, or the negative 3, I should say, goes in here. And you do the same thing for the other pair that you found. You take the 1 and put it right here, so 1x, and then it's a positive 1, so that drops in here. And then that is your answer to the snowflake method. And then, of course, we can always check our work. Okay, remember, I've hammered this and kept talking about this the whole time. But this first term times this first term always equals this first term, and it does. 2x times 1x is 2x squared. Okay, the last term right here times the last term always equals the last term here, which is negative 3. So when I multiply 2x negative 3 times 1, I get negative 3. So where this term comes from is multiplying these outsides for FOIL and the insides. Well, the outsides give us 2x times 1, and the insides give us negative 3 times 1x, or negative 3x. And when I add those together, I get negative 1x. So you can see I have what I started with, which that means I've done it accurately. So again, trying to help you see the relationship. This is just another method for doing the same thing we've been doing, whether it's guess and check, whether we use the box method, or whether we use an asterisk method, or any other method. I know we talked about another one in class as well. All right, so pause the video, see if you can follow the instructions from the first 2 slides, and see if you can fill in the correct A, B, and C. Then restart the video for explanations on that. All right, your A value is 3, your B value is 7, and your C value is 2. So on the top, what you should have is, you should have 6, because you take 3 times 2, or your A times C. Okay, on the bottom, you just have your B value of 7. So again, now I'm looking for the 2 numbers that multiply to 6, that add to 7. So I'm going to start listing my pairs. Well, 2 times 3, or negative 2 times negative 3, but that adds up to 5, not 7. Oh, but don't forget about 1 and 6, and that combination works. So the numbers go on the bottom, and again, what goes on the top is whatever your A value is. And so now I look at this as a fraction, and I see, can I reduce this? I can't reduce that side, but I can reduce this side. 3 goes in here once, 3 goes in here twice, so this is my fraction. So I'm going to draw my parentheses. I'm going to put the 3 in the front, and it goes with whatever variable, x or y or z or whatever, and the 1 goes in the back. It's a positive, so I put a plus. Same thing over here. The 1 goes in front with the variable, and you could just have x there. And then 2 goes second, and it's positive again. So this is my answer. This is factored for this quadratic trinomial. So the asterisk method is just another method to use. All right, so here is a third problem without any prompts at all. So see how you can do with this, because we're going to expect that you can fill in all those things on your own. What we might have for you is just this outside shell, kind of like we have for the box method. But see if you can go ahead and actually solve this whole thing from start to finish, and then restart the video to see if you got it correct. Okay, remember, A times C goes in this top spot. So there's my A, here's my C. So now we have a bigger number. 5 times 12 is 60 when I take 5 times 12. Okay, my B goes in the bottom, and that is my B value of 19. So here's where it gets trickier, because we have a lot of different numbers to look for. And again, we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to 60 that add up to 19. So I'm going to try 6 and 10, but that adds up to 16. I'm going to try, how about 4? Does 4 go, and sometimes this is just a guess and check on your calculator, but I know that 3, okay, times 20 is also 60. But that does not add up to 19 either. So let's try, does 4 go into 60? And it goes in there 15 times. So sometimes you have to kind of guess and check a few combinations before you get the right values. And it gets increasingly harder when your number is bigger. So I'm going to put in the 4 and the 15. Remember, what goes on the top of those lines is your A value right here. So our 5 goes in here. Now, I look at this as a fraction. Can I reduce 5 over 4? No. Can I reduce 5 over 15? Yes. That becomes 1/3. So now, again, I'm going to draw my two parentheses, fill in my 5 with whatever variable, this time it's n, and then the 4 goes second, and the 1 goes in with my variable, or just a plain old n is fine, plus 15. And here is your answer. So that's just another method of factoring. If you like that method, you certainly can use it, or you can go back and use any of the other methods that we have